Hello everyone. Yeah, well, I just thought I'd do this little video. It's kind of a response to two videos by two great friends I've watched today. First one by 000Firestorm1989, Sam, and Mr. John Knowles, Knowlesy. And Sam started doing this video talking about how he's just a bit fed up with what's going on in the world, and you know, the crappy start that this year's got off to, leading off from the crap that was last year. And I just want to do a little video talking about, you know, my own perception and feelings of it. You know, in both their videos they said, you know, that their worries for things in the future, like social activities, the things that, you know, all of us geeks do, like conventions or going to the cinema, or things like just social activities like going to the pub and having a day out, being able to travel to places. Because prior to all of this, us in the group, in our group, you know, in the TF Nation group, which is something I'll briefly talk about in a little while. That's something we all like to do, you know, and you know, since last March, that's all been on hold. But anyway, I just thought I'll do this little talk. Okay, so for me, I personally don't feel I've been greatly affected, you know, in terms of mental health. You know, in terms of mental health, and I don't think it's the COVID and lockdown. I don't think it's affected me tremendously. I had something quite bad happen last year, which most of you would know. I had to spend 6 weeks in a hotel due to a fire that occurred here at my flat complex, but luckily, you know, that's all done now. That really has changed me. Also, things that happened last year. So many people have lost loved ones, you know, loved ones, friends, family due to COVID. I mean, my granddad passed away last year, which was sad. Not COVID related, because he'd not been well for some time, but yeah, so that was sad. But you know, what we were fortunate was we were able to go and have a proper funeral for him, because that was in the summertime, when really the summer was kind of semi-normal last year. The pubs reopened and the non-essential shops could reopen. They had restrictions, but last summer was fairly decent for me, except for the fact that was around the time the fire also happened. But yeah. Also, so basically, putting other stuff aside, for me, the reason why I say I don't think it's affected me that much is because I've got used to being out of work. I've not worked for several years now. I was making a good effort to find work before this whole thing, and honestly, I'm for the time being, I'm just relaxed on it. I'm not all that fussed about it at the moment. Just keeping myself occupied with things that I know I can do, and things that I know can help build my skills, you know, for potential future opportunities, because, you know, I think there's still time for things. But for me personally, I could still do most of the things I do, except for travelling. And as I said, last year was my big 30 birthday, 30, and my birthday is coming up in 2 weeks. I was very fortunate that my birthday was in January, which meant I could go and have a good proper celebration with all my family, and which is more than can be said for a lot of friends of mine who also celebrated big birthdays last year, who unfortunately had to spend it at home. Luckily, I think they all had some family there with them, so they weren't on their own. But I myself was very fortunate to be able to go and have a proper celebration. Also, the last convention I attended, I went and met my friend Sam, who I'm doing this kind of response / discussion video to, and also Tony, who also is one of the TF Nation gang, Mr. Samwave SG1. So yeah, we were very fortunate that things were starting to be shut down at that point of Liverpool Comic Con, because that was mid-February, literally just before March when the first lockdown came in. And I realised now just how fortunate I was to be able to get there and have a good day. There weren't as many restrictions. There weren't things like limits in certain places. The only thing was we couldn't shake hands with the guests we went to meet, which was a bit unfortunate. But we still got to go and see them. We got to see them and say hi and get the autographs, which was good. Then and then after that, when that was over, that was about 3 weeks later. That's when suddenly all this got out of hand and the country was in lockdown. And for me personally, I spend a lot of time to myself. I have a lot of time to myself anyway. I am a social person, but I do like time by myself. I live in a flat. I'm a bachelor. So things I did was, it was a good job that Disney Plus came around then, and I got that, which kept me very occupied because I'm a big Disney fan. And also with the introduction of the Mandalorian series, which has been a big help. That series has been both season 1 and 2. That has been great to have, because that's been a great series, and being a big Star Wars fan, that was something that really helped me get through. So just things like listening to music, working on my own projects. Like obviously I do this, I do videos, I also create electronic music, which I really need to get back into, because I haven't completed a new track in a couple of months now. But I'm trying to get back to it. I have been playing video games. Just going briefly back to, being at the hotel really changed me in terms of motivation. I've come back here and I realise now I'm really not going to take anything for what I've got for granted anymore. I'm going to, regularly keep cleaning up and, keeping on top of day-to-day tasks, which often I needed a bit of kick up the arse to do before. Yeah. That really did change me. One of the things I'm really thankful for is our ability to communicate via social media. And, we have things like Zoom, so we can sort of see each other face to face. We don't have to be in the same room to communicate with each other, which has been good, because I've stayed in contact with friends, I've stayed in contact with family, as we all have, really. We've all been doing, we're very fortunate to at least have, this great technology that enables us to communicate face to face without having to physically be near each other. So that's helped out a bit. But things that it has been rather worrying lately for a lot of people. Say what I heard, sort of people. I would reckon try not to watch the news as much as you can, because they are repeating things. And I think, the media are putting, putting twists on things, just to try and put more and more pressure on us. I think the media do, to a certain degree, make a bigger deal out of a lot of things. Now, I certainly would not say that this isn't a big deal, because it clearly is, because we've had hundreds of thousands of deaths this year, millions of deaths all over the world. And, in the UK, cases have gone up dramatically. I think since, because we've started the new year. We were in lockdown. We were we were out of lockdown out the second lockdown. And then in December we could have this small period so we could see our families at Christmas and New Year. And now, here we go, back into full-scale lockdown again, with schools shutting, all non-essential shops shutting, and limits of one other house you can go to in your support bubble, which is luckily for me, I can still go and see my family, my mum and sister, because they are in that support bubble. As I say, this has been a real eye-opener. I think as much for me as it has for most people, it has been a real eye-opener. Probably just to how much we took a lot of things for granted before, such as being able to go out and see friends, being able to go out to the pub, being able to go on holiday, being able to, have privileges like go to the cinema, or go and do activities with your friends of any kind, and to have had that really taken away, I think that has been hard, and the hardest thing for me over last year, which even though I think we knew it was coming, because of how things were, is that TF Nation couldn't go ahead. I mean, the guys, Billy, Dave, you're all awesome. The crew did do the big broadcast, so they were able to sort that out as an alternative, and that was great. But I really missed just the family atmosphere and being there with everyone and having chats and playing with bots together, and meeting the guests, going around the dealer room and looking at all the merchandise and buying stuff, and and having nice drinks, having drinks, sitting around chatting and catching up with people in the bar. That was really hard, and with hope, what I'd really hope is that it can go ahead this year. I mean, if not, then it would be another shame, another year without. But we have really just got to do what we can, follow the rules, take things a day at a time, and see what comes. Because just worrying so much about the future really doesn't help, and I've learnt that better than anyone, not to have sort of tunnel vision. Because you've got to focus. In life, we all have to focus one day at a time, and we have to do what we do, just get by, and I'm optimistic that we will. Of course, we will get to the end of this. We will come out the other end of this, out of this pandemic, and I think that we will all be. Most of us will be very different people in some ways. Because of what we've all been through, what we've learned. Whether things will be 100% as they were before all of this, I don't know. I think that it's going to have some very long-term lasting effects. But, we don't know for certain if the end is in sight, depending on how, it's great that 2 of the vaccines have been approved. We've had the first one from America, and now this Oxford virus. This Oxford vaccine, has now been approved, which is great. And it has already gone out to a significant amount of people, mainly to the vulnerable people, which is understandably, they need it first. The old and the vulnerable, they need it first. And, in time, hopefully around spring, maybe the less vulnerable can start to get it. And that could, through the course of the year, get us back to some kind of, normal state. But things don't happen overnight. We all have to work for things, in any situation. So, we all have to work for what we want, and we have to be willing to do what we have to do to get to places we want to be. For me, I'm just plodding on. I mean, I've had people say to me, I don't know how you can handle this so well. I don't know how you can handle what you went through last summer. But, what I've learned through a lot of my life experiences, that, life doesn't always go your way. And, you can't expect things just to be given to you. You have to work for things you want. And, sometimes things won't work in our favour. And I think this is probably the best example most of this generation have of things, just not going our way, and these huge changes that have to be made now just to society to get through this. As I say, at the moment, the only time I've really been going out is just to nip to the shop, just down the road from where I live, in the town centre, just to get a few essentials, and then I've been more or less at home, for most, then I've been more or less at home, but I'm still plodding on, I'm still getting things done, I'm still getting up, and, I'm enjoying, I have enjoyed, having more time, to do things that I like, and I really do feel for the people, obviously, who have lost their jobs due to what's happened, and all the businesses that have gone down due to having to shut for long periods of time, and then places have went through closing in the first lockdown, then opening again during the summer period, then closing again, and we have lost a lot of great business due to this, which that is very sad, and it's sad for those people, particularly people who are self-employed, who have lost their businesses because they work so hard to get the business and work to make ends meet, because economically for the past 12 years since the first economic downturn, things haven't been really great. Obviously we've gone through Brexit, we've gone through, and finally that's done now, so, but, and then with COVID, another massive rock in your shoes, but, we will bounce back from this, because I think what we've proven is a lot of us, we are fighting spirits as people. We're fighting spirits, and we will find a way. Just take step by step. We will find a way, and we will beat this. I think there's no question that we will beat this, and we will get to do the things we want to do again. I am concerned for the future of things like cinemas and conventions and stuff. Yeah, I'm concerned for them, because they've had to go. Most have had to go a whole year without being able to run the events, and of course that's a big loss for them. I mean, cinemas, we've lost a lot of cinemas around the country because they haven't been able to open for more or less the whole year. I mean, I think the last time I went to the cinema was before March last year, if I remember right. I think the last film I went to see probably was Sonic the Hedgehog. I know as an alternative we have these streaming platforms, which is now how a lot of the newer movies are being released. But it's not the same as being able to meet with your friend and go and watch a film in full effect on the big screen at the cinema. It isn't the same, and those are all things we miss. I miss being able to get out and about, and being able to go to cities and to places And because before, you know, one thing I have had to get used to do, which I hardly ever used to do before, was shopping online. I'd only ever buy something off eBay or Amazon if it was something I couldn't get in this country, really. But now, I used to love going out and about to, the city of Leicester and doing all, and going to buy DVDs, Blu-rays, video games, and collectibles and stuff like that, because doing that did me good. Going on journeys, getting out and about and seeing places, and that really did me good. But I have now got used to shopping online, which probably means even when we're out of this, for various reasons, I'll probably keep doing that more. But it's been a massive learning curve. So I don't think any of us ever thought in our lifetime that we'd go through something like this. I mean, there have been other pandemics. We look at the things we've been through. There have been, we went through 2 world wars in the past, and we got through them. And somehow we'll just get through this, and we will be able to do things as we did, and hopefully in the not too distant future. It is really just a matter, I think, of taking it a day at a time. Try, if the news stresses you out, try not to watch it. I mean, it's hard, even if you don't watch the news, it's hard to hear. It's hard not to hear what they actually say, because it gets put all over social media as well, all over the internet. But for me personally, I've just plodded on. I've learned to be the sort of person that plods on and accepts this world for what it is and how unpredictable it is. But for me, like my mates, I know Sam. If you watch this, mate, I know you were particularly fed up because you've not really worked a lot over the past of last year. Just hang in there, mate. We'll do it. We'll get through it, and you'll be back at work, and you'll be back at work, and you'll have your routine back, and then hopefully, when this is all over, we'll look back at this experience, and we'll say, we'll all be discussing how we got through it. In another 10 years or so, sure, things should be back to normal by then. What will be yet to come in the next decade is we can't see, but I think we'll remember. We'll all remember this and say, and we'll all be discussing the times we went through, and the next generation will, it'll be something that they'll learn about. This will make the history books, and we'll say, well, we lived through it, we got through it. It was difficult, but we got through it. Okay, yeah. So that's just kind of my little. Discussion / kind of response to Mr. 000Firestorm1989 and to John Knowles, on just how things are going. Okay, well, thanks all for watching. I hope you've all enjoyed it. See you soon. Bye.